Impact of endowment tax hike on college enrollment. What if the key to solving a college tax crisis lies in admitting more students? It sounds counterintuitive, but that's the controversial idea swirling in policy circles as the Trump-era endowment tax looms over elite universities. The tax, which could push schools like Harvard and MIT to pay millions more in federal taxes, has sparked a heated debate. Should universities expand enrollment to offset the financial hit? And if so, at what cost to quality and exclusivity? Let's break this down. The tax targets the massive financial reserves these schools hold. Endowments that often top billions of dollars. For example, Harvard's $53 billion endowment could see its tax rate jump from 1.4% to 8%, potentially adding $270 million annually to its tax bill. Conservative analysts argue this is a wake-up call. Preston Cooper, an economist at the American Enterprise Institute, suggests the tax could force schools to kick in the butt to make admissions more inclusive. His logic? If universities are forced to spend more of their endowments on students, they might finally open their doors to a broader range of applicants. But here's where it gets controversial. Critics say this approach ignores the reality that many elite schools already offer generous financial aid and free tuition programs for low and middle-income families. Stephen Bloom of the American Council on Education argues these institutions are already doing more than their fair share. This tax will only undermine their efforts. And this is the part most people miss. The tax isn't just about money, it's about power. Conservatives have long criticized elite colleges for becoming gatekeepers of opportunity, hoarding taxpayer-funded resources while charging sky-high tuition. The new tax, they argue, is a way to level the playing field. But universities push back, warning that expanding enrollment could strain resources. Imagine a school with 15,000 students suddenly adding 5,000 more. Where would the housing go? How would faculty-to-student ratios hold up? Cooper dismisses these concerns, claiming schools see exclusivity as an asset and fear that growth would dilute their prestige. Yet, as he points out, public universities like the University of Texas have expanded enrollment dramatically without sacrificing quality. If they can do it, why not the Ivies? The stakes are high. Take Rice University in Texas, which recently grew its undergraduate population from 4,000 to nearly 5,000 students. Its president, Reginald Desroches, proudly touts a redefinition of elitism, access over exclusivity. But now, Rice faces a 4% tax on its $2.6 billion endowment, adding $6.4 million to its annual bill. That's enough to fund financial aid for over 100 students. Yet, to avoid the tax entirely, Rice would need to add thousands more students, a move that could backfire. Smaller schools like Smith College, with just 2,857 students, are also caught in the crossfire. If they grow past 3,000 students, they'll face the same tax, creating a perverse incentive to stay small. Here's the bigger question. Is this tax a solution or a punishment? Larry Ladd, a former Harvard budget chief, calls it punishment without purpose, arguing it won't force schools to change their behavior. Meanwhile, economists like Philip Levine warn that the tax could force cuts to financial aid programs, which already support nearly half of endowment spending. Harvard's recent pledge to waive tuition for families earning under $200,000 could be at risk. And what about MIT's no-loan financial aid packages? These programs, designed to reduce student debt, might shrink as resources dwindle. So where does this leave us? The tax has created a paradox. Schools are being asked to grow to survive, but growth itself could compromise their mission. Is it fair to ask elite institutions to sacrifice exclusivity for accessibility? Should taxpayer-funded endowments be taxed like corporate profits? We want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Agree, disagree, or share your own take on this high-stakes debate. How a conservative college influenced tax policy for elite institutions. 4 wealthy Massachusetts colleges avoid Trump's hefty endowment tax. And an unexpected ally may be responsible. As Harvard and MIT brace for a significant increase in their endowment tax under President Trump's big, beautiful bill, 4 elite Massachusetts colleges managed to escape unscathed. These colleges may have Hillsdale College, a conservative Midwestern institution, to thank for their good fortune. While most of higher education is considered a stronghold for woke elites, Hillsdale College, a small private Christian liberal arts school, has been praised by the Trump administration as an exception. Despite its strong ties to the administration and conservative politicians, Hillsdale was set to face an increased endowment tax along with Harvard in the House of Representatives version of the bill, from a flat rate of 1.4% to up to 21%. However, the final bill included a smaller top rate of endowment tax at 8% and also provided an exemption for colleges like Hillsdale. Institutions with fewer than 3,000 tuition-paying students, with more than 50% of those students from the US, would not have to pay anything. This includes 4 elite Massachusetts liberal arts schools that were previously subject to the endowment tax: Amherst College, Smith College, Wellesley College, and Williams College. "We dodged a bullet," said Philip Levine, a professor of economics at Wellesley College. Smith College narrowly escaped the tax hike, with 2,857 total students enrolled in the 2024-2025 academic year, according to its website. Hillsdale College, with fewer than 2,000 students and roughly a $1 billion endowment, is well connected in conservative political circles. It's based in Michigan's 5th Congressional District, represented by U.S. House Education and Workforce Committee Chairman Tim Walberg, a Republican. Hillsdale's president notably endorsed President Donald Trump in 2016 and most recently partnered with the White House on a video series about the country's 250th anniversary of independence. Several Trump administration positions are held inside alumni of the conservative college. The institution is most noted for not accepting federal funds, including for student financial aid, and relying on private funding. As the House's version of the endowment tax concerned higher education leaders, some presidents and institutions boycotted or hired people to lobby for them. Hillsdale College was among them, hiring Williams & Jensen, a DC lobbying firm, for $50,000 to address specific threats to the institutional and financial independence of the college, primarily related to the higher education endowment tax, according to a lobbying filing. Among the lobbyists listed is Daniel Ziegler, who was House Speaker Mike Johnson's policy director before returning to the firm in March. Hillsdale's president, Larry Ahn, also authored an op-ed in City Journal expressing his disdain for the provision. "We ask no special favor. We only ask that our independence be respected, that the resources entrusted to us by citizens of goodwill remain free to serve their intended purpose," Ahn said. He argued that the proposed tax could harm the very independence of the institution, and that it unfairly includes Hillsdale, which doesn't accept federal funding. While Hillsdale aimed not to be a part of the tax, other small private institutions fought against it as well. Williams College hired a lobbying firm, Lewis Burke Associates, because of the Big Beautiful Bill, according to filings. Outside of Massachusetts, institutions like Pomona College, Washington and Lee University, Davidson College, and Claremont McKenna College also hired Washington lobbyists, some of them for the first time. The endowment tax has been a contentious issue since its inception in 2017, with supporters arguing it promotes fairness and accountability among wealthy institutions. However, higher education leaders intend that the tax is punitive and ultimately harmful to students and educational quality. The exemption for small colleges like Hillsdale and the 4 Massachusetts institutions highlights the ongoing debate surrounding the role of endowments in higher education funding and the balance between financial independence and public accountability. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Key amendments to private college endowment tax. The wealthiest universities in America are now in the crosshairs of a major tax overhaul, and for some, the price tag could be staggering. On July 4th, 2025, a sweeping piece of legislation known as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or BBB, was signed into law. Tucked inside this massive budget bill are critical changes to a controversial tax targeting the investment profits of wealthy private college and university endowments. This tax, officially found in Section 4968 of the Internal Revenue Code, is often simply called the endowment tax. For university presidents, CF